My name is Jonathan Parks, and welcome to Jonathan's Nature Crafts. I must inform you that I do not live in this house by myself, but live here with other people. Sometimes other members of the household may have to walk through areas where I might be recording with other family members on the phone. If you hear any noise like that, please feel free to disregard. We are doing our best to get noise canceling equipment, which may at least keep you from hearing exactly what is being said. Thank you for considering. Now, I know that in the last video I recorded yesterday, I kind of showed some stuff about wise men and shared all with you all, but there's probably just a little more work we have to kind of show along the way, and I'm just getting done with so much of this stuff I've had to wrap in paper grocery sacks, or plastic grocery sacks rather, just to kind of either keep it from breaking or to keep the paint from coming off of it onto other things. But there's just other work I'm gonna kind of show along here, and I'd say that there's probably enough pieces here that we can kind of go a little longer way about what we show here. And I'd say that there's probably some mix-ups here. We've got to settle those, but I wanted to show you all just how many different holy families I have made over the past year, and or even over the past several months to that matter. I kind of probably would say that there were pieces I might have just started out the year kind of doing for a while, and then kind of took little breaks from them to do other things. And I'd like to mention that there's this little holy family that I made out of walnut here. There was probably, I'd say, some work that came along this, because there was one time when, one year, I think it might have been last year, when right after Christmas I started working on this Mary and Joseph here, and it was a hard wood, so I kind of had to take a break from it, and probably did the same with this Sapelli Mary and Joseph, because that's kind of a harder wood as well. And whenever the right tools turned up at the right times for me to do the work with, it's like that was kind of how I worked about it. And when I needed little pieces for the cribs, I took pieces of walnut and Sapelli to make the right shape for that. And just the work has come along great, and all we do here, as of more recently, I had made this little holy family out of sassafras here, and it was because I had a couple of pieces of sassafras that turned up in a certain place that I just kind of saw them there and remembered I had cut them out probably January of last year, maybe, hoping to eventually kind of carve them into a little holy family set. So that was kind of, I'd say, what it came down to. And what I did with the pieces, it turns out that I still have one piece of butternut and one piece of sassafras left that had been previously cut out for making little mangers from, and eventually we'll get around to maybe getting a couple more pieces cut out from which to make the Mary and Josephs to those sets. I'd say of all things that what I've got here is this set from redwood, and from a certain board of redwood I had, there was a piece that it was kind of sticking out from it that could be cut off to make a little manger, so I decided to do that. And I had another big block of redwood that was donated to me by McConnell Springs, because a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago, something like that, whenever their awning got burnt down by fire, their picnic tables got burnt down too, and they saved some pieces of redwood from it to donate to us. So I happened to have a block of it left and decided to carve this Mary and Joseph from that. And just mentioning too that there's all these angels we have here. I'm going to see the woods they're made out of. I made these two ones from butternut here fairly recently from some pieces of that I had. I took that piece of redwood that I had and kind of made these from it. It was kind of just the right thickness from which to make the bodies of the angels, so I kind of did that little work, and then come down to where I sort of had some pieces of sassafras from which I was able to make these particular angels. And given how the piece was shaped, I was able to cut a certain size off to make the bodies, and have a little extra piece that was with its width, I could kind of glue the pieces together to make out the part for the wings. And so I did. You can kind of see a little place in here where a little gluing of planks had been done together in this. I'd say we're going to try to pack all this back up, and hopefully, I'd say in the next year, kind of get some of this stuff out at our big shows and kind of make little displays of it for sales and profits, and for all the good things that should be out there for people to see. And maybe while I'm at it, I might be able to kind of unwrap little pieces of shepherds here. And I will tell you all, these are the little basswood lambs that go with the butternut shepherds. But I'd say that, like, what I do is I wrap them up in plastic bags. Mainly I do that so that the rods do not break. This little staff here I make from a twig. The book says to use a dowel rod, but I tell you, it's kind of difficult for me to kind of do all the drilling and work that's necessary to use a dowel rod. It kind of messes up the hands when I try to go about doing it, so it kind of can get to be a little trouble here and there. But it turns out, as I say, we only have like 2 shepherds, like I said, to go with the 4 lambs, and that is just one of those things where I still have yet to show what else I have here that's going to be worked on. Whether or not this is going to be done this year, I don't know, but would like to show how I kind of keep things together in these little tin containers. And it used to be that I purchased those tins from Goodwill and made a lot of scroll saw figures as gifts that I kind of gave out as gifts by the package full around Christmas time to friends and to people who served me in restaurants and things like that. So that was kind of what I did with them. And then I kind of got to where I got more business oriented and wasn't making as much of that stuff anymore. So now I kind of use them to really kind of store my pieces together. I've got a couple pieces cut out of poplar, and I probably kind of mentioned on my Facebook page how I had these two timbers of poplar and sort of debated what I'd be doing with them, and thought about making another Holy Family or two shepherds, but already have some pieces of genuine and African mahogany that are already cut out in ways to make more Holy Families, so I decided to make shepherds from the poplar. And meanwhile, I also just kind of had some pieces of red wood, decided that redwood would go with the poplar to make the sheep for the poplar shepherds. And there's another thing I'm gonna kind of show here that is kind of like how the little blanks of walnut came out. There was a certain piece of walnut I had here that was already kind of the right shape for which to make the shepherd, so I only had to cut off a little bit of it to make it only 6 inches tall. And then I bought another piece of walnut from the Woodcraft that was 2 inches by 6 inches by 6 inches, and it had little kind of places in the wood on the side that where it just wasn't complete, so I kind of cut a little piece out of the center of it to make another 6-inch long timber from which to make another walnut shepherd. And like I said, I had plenty of avocado wood, so there were a couple of pieces of lamb I decided to cut from that avocado to go with the walnut shepherd. And I've got a couple pieces of it over here too that are going to go with this other one. Whether or not I'm going to get all that carved this year or not, I have yet to decide, but did decide that I might kind of take a break from these nativity figure carvings for a while. Maybe try to get around to doing a little something different for a change, for a little break, and might even get to the point where sooner or later I might take these new blanks I cut out for like French bulldogs and English bulldogs and probably carve them, and I will tell you a little bit more about that as to how I kind of changed the shape of the pattern a little bit to fit a certain block of wood I had. Kind of made it so the bulldogs were in a sitting position rather than a standing position, so I could kind of get them in a shape where I could get enough pieces out of the block. And that was just something I wanted to share for this moment, and I thank you all for coming on. Hope to see you all soon. Take care. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I hope to see you in the next video. Stay tuned.